Welcome back. This is Jeff Byers and this is Andy 255 and this is module 10 and we are working on the drapes, the curtains. We're going to open those curtains up with I'm going to show you with constraints first, and then we're going to open them up with some objects. So we don't need all of this stuff, so let's go ahead and get rid of all of this. Goodbye Fred, goodbye Steve. And now we're just left with this. Okay. So there's a couple things we could do. We can create some objects to work with this. Let's go ahead and create a torus. And let's go into the torus here and just kind of section radius here. Just move it up a little bit out of the way so we can see a little bit better. And let's get that set up here. That'll work pretty good. I think that'll work great. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that over like this. And from the top view, we're just going to go ahead and get rid of half of it. So I'll do from this top over, like that. Actually, let's do the other way. There we go. Delete that. Click on this guy here. And we'll delete this bottom part. There we go. And those will be our pieces that we're going to use for pulling these back. Alright, so go ahead and scale those down, something like that. Let's do 0.3 on that, and then we'll do 0.3 on this. That's pretty close, isn't it? So we'll do 0.3 on that. There we go. So that's easy enough to get set up, and so we'll have those over here ready to go, and those will be, we'll pull these, use these to pull the curtains open. They can't be touching each other and they cannot be touching the drapes or the curtains, okay? So that's the main thing. I might have to move one of them up away from the other because, well, let's see, is that touching? I think they're still touching. Oh, there we go. Okay, so they can't be touching, they can't touch the drapes, they can't touch each other. That will probably work just fine. Okay, so I'm going to take these guys, put them in a layer for now. Okay, and you probably want to save this out, so because we're going to do two different things. And so you'll need to have those, and we'll save those out. And I'll just do, this will be called pull 13 pull. Okay. And then I can just take these and make sure I just get rid of them for now. Alright, so how would you pull this open? I've already done it several times. You can do what we did before with the long curtain, the larger curtain, where we did a constraint on the top row. You're going to have to do the same thing with these, but we can do the same thing with grabbing onto that on one of these edges here and pulling it back, which will work. It will definitely work, but what's happening is that you don't have any control over along this area here. That's why we did the physical ones. The physical ones will work a lot better with pulling these back. And we're going to find out using a constraint is not going to work probably with this. I mean, you can do a little bit of it. Let's say if you're just pushing the curtain away just a little bit, it will work. If you try to pull it up, it won't. And I'll show you why. Alright, so let's get started. First thing, I'm just going to do one curtain for this demonstration so I can Control Z back. Alright, so what we're going to do is we are going to create a end cloth. So go ahead and create that curtain as an end cloth. And then I'm going to click on the curtain that I just created an end cloth with and select the top 2 rows. And I'm going to go to end constraint and go to transform constraint. There we go. So those are all constrained now. And then you want to find the spot where you like to pull the curtain open. So let's go to vertex and just select, see these guys? Okay. Let's go in a little bit farther, like that. And then we'll go ahead and add a end constraint there as well. Okay, that'll work. Okay, so here are your 2 end constraints, one at the top and one on the side, and these are animatable. So we need to go ahead and set this stuff up. So we just always want to make sure everything's good. Play every frame, 24 frames a second. And let's set this up to 500 frames like we did with the large curtain. And we're going to animate the first frame. So I'm going to go ahead and click on S on the first frame, and then I'm going to move this up to around maybe 360 and move that back. Now if we just do a little bit, it will actually work fairly well. Okay, so I'm going to hit the S key. Let's go ahead and play that animation. As you can see, it's working. Okay. There's a little inner penetration there, but not too bad. Okay. So it works if you just do a little bit of it, right? But it's not really deforming the way you expect it to. So let's go back to the beginning here. You can see the reason why that is because there really isn't anything holding that on this other side. It's mostly just pushing on this side. So if I go extreme with this, if I click on the constraint again and just move over to 360 and pull that all the way back, we're going to have all kinds of issues and problems. Let's take a look. Let's go back here and pull that back and then keyframe it. Okay. Oh, I don't want to do that. Let's just hit the S key. Alright, let's play it. We have to go slow, otherwise it will just tear. It's starting to tear a little bit. But again, you see it's trying to pull itself away. It's working, but just kind of pushing everything off to the side. So, you know, what you could do, what I thought was going to be kind of cool, is that you could pick these constraints and add constraints all along here all the way back, and then as you pull back you would animate them all together, and when you get to this point they would all, this one would stop, and then you keep animating and this one would stop and this one, so you would bunch up nicely that way if you animated more sections. But we're not going to do that. We're going to do something totally different. So let's go Control Z back. Before we add constraints, we want to keep the constraints up there. Let's go ahead and keep those up there. We're all good here. And then we're going to go ahead and add the end cloth to the curtain. And then from side view, I'm going to go ahead and select the first 2 rows here. And we're going to go to end cloth and pass. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to go to end constraint and go to transform constraint. There we go. So that adds another constraint up there. Here we go. And did it do it? I don't know if it did it. No, it didn't do it. Let's go back again. Maybe it didn't, maybe it did. Let's make sure. So I'm going to click off. And just make sure that we did this right. Don't want any flub ups, so I'm gonna go in here and there we go. It's just not showing, I guess, like the other one. So hopefully it works okay. Alright, so now we're going to take these guys here that we have, okay, and let's go ahead and animate these pulling back. So these need to be, go to End Cloth, need to be passive colliders. We'll do that one with End Cloth, passive collider, and we'll just go ahead and keyframe that, set a key, and we need to go really super slow, otherwise it'll tear. So just gonna move that probably to here. That should be good. Yes key. Okay, go back. And we'll go ahead and set that key. And what did I end up doing on there? 360. So let's do 360 on that and move that one about like that. Okay, let's go back and let's take a look and see what happens. And it's key to keep them slow because they will just break open. There we go. Alright, so did we get those? Yes. Alright, so we're good now. Alright, so let's go ahead and with these, the curtain selected, let's go into the thickness. Let's go to 0.075 and 0.075. There we go. And if you look at the solver thickness, you can see that gives a little bit more thickness there. Okay. Let's try to do like something like 0.1. There we go. I'm going to try this one to 0.1. There we go. And let's give it a shot, see what happens. That's turned off. Let's turn this one off. Here we go. And let's see if that helps. Let's go back to the beginning. Resimulate. That seems to be helping. There we go. Yeah, okay. It's not perfect, but it works. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it works. Not perfect, like I said. But that's the idea. So, if you have it shearing and going through, there's a couple spots. Stretch resistance will help. Shear resistance, that's the one. So you could put that at 0.1 if you wanted to. Both of those. Shear resistance 0.1. That'll help it keep shearing. Yeah, 0.1 on that one. Okay, so pull those back. We could probably go a little bit closer together too if we wanted to. Okay, great. Alright, so that is it. And let's see if we can just move that out a little bit more. Of course, that's not going to work either. I was thinking maybe we could narrow this. I don't know if it'll let me do that because you're kind of messing with it. Maybe it will. We'll see. So once you mess with the geometry and you move things around, and it can be a problem for it to simulate properly because it remembers it before and when you created it. So we talked about this before. If you do stuff like that, you have no idea what it's going to do to simulation. So we'll see if scaling it would do anything. Oh, come on, of course. you got to animate the scale. That I know I there's a way around that. So take all the scale and just delete that. There you go. And that will hold. Okay, let's delete that here. There we go. So now we can do it. You think that'll work? And try this one. We gotta move this one over a little bit because we don't want it to collide with anything yet. And those are away from each other, barely. Let's move that a little bit this way and then in a little bit. Here we go. Alright, let's see if this looks a little better. Sorry about that. Oh, it's because I moved it. I moved it in which direction? Okay, so I can get rid of that on this one and move it so it doesn't move back over again. There we go. Alright, so here we go. Finally play it. Oh, it still works. Look at that. And it's holding them better. Yeah. Oh, we have a rip. Oh my goodness. That one's flying all over the place. Oh, it's because that's pushed in the wall there. This side doesn't look too bad. Okay, let's go back again. It's because of this little guy right here. Because I didn't scale it, let's go ahead and, or not scale it, but keyframe the scale. Let's go ahead and I might have to, if I do that, then let's see here what I can do with this. Can't really, I think that's all I got. And I just won't have to pull that back as far. So let me do this. Let's go up to that point over here and just move it back. And keyframe it so it's not so far. There we go. Probably do the same thing with this one too. Just pull it back a little bit. There we go. Keyframe that. Let's try that again. Just won't go as far. Okay. Alright, so I don't know if I put a passive collider on there, so let me do that. And cloth, passive collider on the wall. Let's try it again, get a little closer. Alright. There we go, so now it's, yeah, that works. And so, again, it's not perfect, you know. I think that will be fine. So, there's a couple more things you could do if you're still seeing some issues with the thickness and you need to make it higher. You can go ahead and do 0.15. Remember, this will help it from ripping, so if you see yours ripping all over. Another thing is I forgot to do the passive rigid body, or the passive body on that. So that did help quite a bit. Alright, so when you are finished, okay, you'll do a play blast. When you're happy with your results, do a play blast. Just make sure you don't have something selected. Just click out somewhere here. And go ahead and do the simulation. Do a play blast for me. And I went to 360. So you can just do the full 500 if you want to. And then you'll give, then I want you guys to go in there and freeze those curtains. So when you get it all simulated, you'll take it and duplicate it, so that will do a job for you. That'll do the work for you, so that'll be good. Okay, curtains open. That should do it. Alright. Go play blast here. Everything looks good, Xfid. And then we'll go down to the bottom here. Okay, let's get rid of that part. Put name on the first part of it. And this will be curtains. So I should have 3 of these now. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And tell it where I want it to go. Go to the desktop and just go ahead and paste that and save it. And then go ahead and play blast it. I'll go ahead and pause this. You don't need to watch this part. Okay, we're back, and this is my simulation for the play blast. Very slow, but it works. And so there you go. And then when that's all finished, you'll send that to me. You'll send this MB file to me, so make sure you save your scene as. Make sure you put your name on it. These will just be called curtains. There we go. So make sure you give me the actual simulation, and then you can click on these guys here and do a Control D and place them in a layer. There you go. And then these guys can be placed in a layer too. And now you can get rid of all the simulation stuff. And you can get rid of these and bring these back in. And there you go. And select these two. Go to Mesh, Smooth. Let's go to 2. This will really smooth them down. Here we go. And that's what they look like. Okay, cool. Not the greatest simulation I've ever seen, but it works. You know, I could tweak this out and finesse some stuff, but it is what it is. So anyway, you can pull it back that way. You can use constraints to pull them back. Anyway, I'll accept those, even though they're kind of ugly. But I'll accept those, and if you want to go ahead and texture those, that'd be great if you want to do that. Alright, so that is it for the curtains. Have some fun, play with the constraints, see if you can get that to work. Just have some fun with that. If you don't like the objects that I use, you can create your own and finagle it any way you like. Anyway, have fun and enjoy. Cloth is a lot of fun to play with. And we will do the flag next. Alright, I'll see you then.